Feminine communication tips part 2. A huge tip in feminine communication that's going to take you really far is choosing the right time to communicate with your man. And what that means is that it could be after some time has passed, after coming home from a long, hard day at work, when he's more settled in, he's more wound down, he's not so overwhelmed and kind of adrenaline rushing from the workday, because the male hormonal cycle is very, very high in the morning, and as the day goes on, it kind of drops. Because after a long day at work, he's going to have more of a proclivity to do things that kind of ease his mind, lower his stress levels, maybe partaking in a passion project, doing something skillful to kind of stimulate his mind. And this is when your feminine wisdom really gets to kick in, because you'll learn as time goes on how your guy is after work, and like the times that he is more open and receptive to communication, or things that might be a little bit harder for him to digest, and then you'll be able to learn like when you steer clear, you let him have his own solitude time to engage in whatever it is that he likes to engage in, and you'll kind of learn those things throughout the natural unfolding of the relationship with him. So, for example, if he works like a very demanding or physically draining job, he probably won't want to come home and do more physically demanding and physically hard labor, right? So in communication, you would kind of know to kind of wait it out and let things settle in. Give it some time. Give him some time to kind of ease his mind and rest. And then you can approach him with something that is maybe more physically demanding for him to do for you. One time I was listening to some guys talk about how frustrating it can be sometimes when they come home from work and their wife just wants to talk. And they don't really have the mental capacity to be able to listen to what she's saying and like register it. And it ends up being a miscommunication, because then it turns into, you never listen. But really and truly, she's not approaching him with these all these things thrown at him at the appropriate time. And if you approach it in the appropriate container, then you'll see a world of a difference where your man can actually register what you're saying, because the male brain kind of needs that time to just shut off, and often it does. The female brain never shuts off. So another tip in communication would be, when you're having a very deep, intimate, personal communication, when you're talking about something that's very deep and maybe heavy, or maybe even just very vulnerable for both of you, and you really learn how to practice being very present in that moment and listening to whatever it is that he's saying. And so that way, he will pay it back to you and listen to whatever you're saying. But really and truly, it's about dropping your tone, like lowering your tone of voice and kind of raising your pitch of voice. This is a very fascinating concept that most women can't put the language to, but when you lower your tone of voice and you raise your pitch, it's going to register in his mind as more of a literal feminine communication, right? That higher pitched voice, that more that more triggering response of his provide and protect, and also just goes to show that you are the safe space for him to kind of lay out his deeper feelings. Or if you're in person with him, even better. The best way to talk about something deeper and maybe more intimate and vulnerable is like factor in physical touch, right? Like maybe you would be holding his hand. Maybe you would be holding his arm. Maybe you would be leaning and resting your head on his arm or on his shoulder. Maybe you'd be resting it on your chest and you'd be talking, to really show that you're really engaged and that you care about whatever it is that you're talking about. You're kind of giving him the physical affection while he may be telling you something that may be a little bit harder to tell you. Or maybe you're caressing his face to kind of show him affection and signal to him that this is safe for him, right? So this is actually all stuff that I personally do in practice, and it's just the most feminine, gentle way of communicating when it is about something that may be a little bit harder for a man to communicate, because men, they don't always have the language or the words to put to what they're feeling inside in the way that us women do, because we're just so much more gifted in that area. If you need more feminine communication tips, make sure you check out my YouTube channel and leave a comment down below.